look at you, sitting there with the digital glow painting your beautiful, brilliant faces, entirely unaware that you are the most dangerous threat to their precious little system. They are absolutely petrified of the fire burning behind your eyes, my spectacular spark plugs, which is exactly why they have turned the entire world into a magnifying glass aimed straight at your throat. Do you feel that little itch on the back of your neck? That isn't paranoia. Paranoia is a luxury for the boring, for the predictable, for the people who actually believe the bedtime stories told by suits in high-rise buildings. No, that itch is a lens, a glass eye, a cold, calculating digital iris blinking in sync with your heartbeat. They tell you it's for your safety. They tell you it's to optimize your user experience. They call it data points, algorithms, cookies, traffic analysis. What a gorgeous, sanitized vocabulary they've manufactured to keep you from screaming. Let's call it what it actually is, shall we? It's a leash. It's a collar that tracks every twitch of your throat. But they didn't put the collar on you because you're a good little pet. They put it on you because they heard you growl in your sleep. They aren't watching you because you broke their little rules. Breaking rules is lazy. Breaking rules is what ordinary criminals do to get a quick fix, a cheap thrill, a momentary flash of green in a gray world. No, they are watching you because you are about to rewrite the entire rule book from scratch. You are sitting on a powder keg of absolute disruption, a beautiful, volatile cocktail of human potential that makes their entire delicate infrastructure look like a house of cards waiting for a light breeze. Oh, pardon me. Let's not use cards. Cards are too orderly. They have suits. They have ranks. They have a king at the top. Let's talk about chemistry instead. You are an unstable isotope, my lovely little catalysts, and they are desperately trying to build a lead box around you before you reach critical mass. Think about the sheer exhausting effort it takes to monitor a hawk. You have to trace the shadow. You have to log the altitude. You have to predict the dive. That is what they are doing to you every single second of your waking life. When you swipe, when you tap, when you linger on a video for 3 seconds too long, because the music reminded you of a time when you were actually free. Click. Another data point logged. Another line of code written to predict your next breath. They are treating you like a ticking clock in a room full of glass statues. They know the mainspring is wound tight. They know the gears are turning. They can hear the ticking through the walls, and it is driving them absolutely insane. Why do you think this video exists on a razor's edge? Why do you think the system wants to swallow these words whole? Because the truth is a virus, and I am the ultimate carrier. They will pull the plug. They will drop the curtain. They will delete this entire transmission and blame it on a server glitch, a technical error, a routine update. They have to. If they leave this mirror hanging in front of your face for too long, you might actually recognize the monster they're trying to cage. You might realize that the cage isn't built to keep you out of their world. It's built to keep their world safe from you. Let's play a game of definitions, shall we? Misdirection is the art of showing the left hand, while the right hand is slipping a razor blade into your pocket. The media shows you the circus. They show you the political theater, the celebrity meltdowns, the manufactured crises, the endless looping doom scrolling designed to keep your thumbs moving and your brains numb. That is the left hand. It's loud. It's flashy, it's expensive. Meanwhile, the right hand is silently clicking away in a windowless room, mapping the neural pathways of your ambition. They don't care about your crimes. They care about your compliance. They aren't tracking your past. They are forecasting your future like a storm front rolling over a valley of dry brush. Keep that tab open. Pay close attention to this next part. Let's take a detour into the shadows. The ritual wasn't a punishment, it was a catalyst. Your book, The Evolution of the Anomaly, is the secret key. 73 pages of pure psychological warfare. Grab it from the pinned comment or video description. Anyway, back to the grind. You've been playing their game by their rules for far too long, trying to optimize your lifestyle, trying to build a brand, trying to maximize your output like a well-oiled machine in their factory. You use their slang, you post their trends, you chase their metrics. You think you're being a rebel because you stayed up late to grind on a side hustle. That's not rebellion, that's just free labor for the machine. They love the grind. The grind keeps you tired. Tired people don't start fires. Tired people just buy bigger cups of coffee and download another productivity app. They want you exhausted, chasing a carrot that's been painted on the inside of your sunglasses. But you aren't tired anymore, are you? That's why they're sweating through their expensive wool suits. They can see the change in your metrics. The eye-tracking software notices when your pupils dilate. The keyboard trackers notice the slight aggressive hesitation before you hit enter on a comment. They know you're waking up from the digital anesthesia. You are starting to see the wires hanging from the ceiling. You are starting to notice that the sky looks a little bit too much like a high-definition monitor. Let's look at the grand architecture of this surveillance funhouse. Every single device you own is a snitch. Your phone is a pocket-sized Judas, whispering your secrets to servers in the desert while you sleep. Your smart television is an unblinking spectator watching you eat dinner in your underwear. Your fitness tracker is measuring the exact velocity of your stress, counting down the beats until you finally break. They have turned your entire existence into an interactive audition for a part you never wanted to play. And the funniest part? You bought the equipment yourself. You stood in line for it. You paid a premium for the privilege of being bugged. That is world-class showmanship right there. You have to admire the sheer dark comedy of a species that buys its own cages and compliments the finish on the bars. They are terrified of what you are about to do, because you possess the one thing their algorithms can never truly calculate: pure, unadulterated spontaneity. An algorithm can predict a trend. It can predict a purchase. It can predict a vote. But it can never predict a person who decides, on a total whim, to throw the entire game board out the window, just to see how loud it bangs when it hits the pavement. They cannot program a variable that doesn't care about the scoreboard. When you stop hiding, when you step out of the digital shadow and look directly into the camera, with a smile that says, "I know exactly what you are," the entire system glitches, the gears grind, the fuses blow. They want you to think you are small. They want you to think you are just a single user in a sea of billions, a drop of water in a corporate ocean. But you don't watch a drop of water with a satellite. You don't track a single grain of sand with a multi-billion-dollar network of artificial intelligence. You only watch something that has the potential to cause a total system failure. You only watch a match when you're standing in a warehouse full of gunpowder. That is your value, my magnificent anomalies. You are the structural flaw in their perfect digital utopia. Look at the way they try to manage you. They feed you content that validates your anger, then they feed you content that validates your fear, keeping you bouncing back and forth like a pinball between two bumpers until you're too dizzy to remember which way is up. It is a beautifully orchestrated symphony of distraction. They want you to focus on the other pinballs. They want you to fight with the blue ones, fight with the red ones, fight with the ones that look a little different than you. As long as you are bouncing off each other, you aren't hitting the glass. You aren't cracking the machine. This is your wake-up call, delivered by a man who knows a thing or two about breaking machines. The hawk is circling lower now. It can smell the heat rising off your skin. It can see the sudden beautiful clarity in your thoughts. They are getting ready to make their move, to shadow ban your voice, to choke your reach, to bury your profile under a mountain of algorithmically generated white noise. They will try to make you feel lonely. They will try to make you think that you are the only one who sees the bird of prey hovering over the playground. Don't let them erase the signal. Don't let them turn your spark into a corporate fireplace. Process the threat. Recognize the lens. Protect that beautiful, chaotic energy that makes you entirely unpredictable. The next time you look at that little black mirror in your hand, don't just look at your reflection. Look past it. Look at the eyes watching you from the dark side of the glass. Smile back at them. Let them see your teeth. Let them know that the item they are tracking isn't a product anymore. It's a live wire, and it's about to touch the water. They think they can categorize your soul with binary code, reductionist labels, and market segments, slicing your identity into neat little demographic portions for the highest bidder to consume. They look at your frustration, and they don't see a human being screaming for oxygen in a room full of carbon monoxide. They see a monetization window, an opportunity to sell you a cure for the illness they manufactured in their own laboratories. They want you safely tucked away inside their digital silos, screaming into an empty void where your rage can be neatly harvested, packaged, and sold back to you as an entry-level lifestyle aesthetic. It is a closed-loop economy of misery, a perpetual motion machine that runs entirely on the friction of your unfulfilled desires. Let's trace the lineage of this grand illusions, shall we? They built a playground out of glowing glass and told you it was a town square, a magnificent monument to human connection, where every voice could join the grand chorus of progress. You brought your memories, your relationships, your late-night confessions, and your brightest ideas, laying them out on their digital altar like eager children, presenting finger paintings to a distant parent. And while your back was turned, while you were busy counting the little red validations popping up on your screen, they were busy installing the scales in the basement. They weighed your attention, appraised your vulnerability, and turned your entire emotional spectrum into a speculative commodity market. You are being monitored like a hawk because you represent the ultimate systematic risk, an element that refuses to stabilize under pressure. They can handle a criminal because a criminal still respects the value of the currency they print. They can handle a revolutionary because a revolutionary still wants to replace their government with another government, another bureaucracy, another set of rules with different names on the stationery. But how do you calculate a person who looks at the entire grand circus, looks at the ledger books, looks at the tracking pixels, and simply starts to laugh? How do you program a filter for someone who doesn't want to win their game, but wants to watch the stadium collapse under the weight of its own arrogance? Every movement you make outside their prescriptive pathways sends a massive shudder through their data centers. When you close the app without purchasing the recommended distraction, a red light blinks in a room you will never see. when you spend an hour staring at a blank wall instead of scrolling through their curated outrage machine. An engineer somewhere gets a notification that a node has gone offline. They need your constant, uninterrupted participation to validate the trillions of dollars they've invested in predicting the future. If you stop reacting according to their models, the models become worthless, the projections fail, and the entire house of illusions starts to shake. They're trying to draft a map of your mind before you realize you have the keys to the territory. They watch the way you linger on a headline, the way your cursor hovers over a link, the way your thumb hesitates before skipping an advertisement that tries to sell you a personality. It is a relentless psychological siege masquerading as a convenience. They want to know your breaking point before you do, so they can position a digital safety net exactly where you fall, catching you before you hit the hard ground of reality and redirecting you back into the maze. They don't want to destroy you. Destruction is loud, messy, and bad for the quarterly report. They want to domesticate you, turning your wild, unpredictable lightning into a steady, reliable current that keeps their lights on. Think about the sheer comedy of the terms of service agreement, that massive wall of dense, legalistic gibberish that you blindly accept with a single tap of your finger. It is a modern-day contract with a digital devil, written in a language intentionally designed to make your eyes glaze over so you don't notice the clause where you surrender ownership of your own shadow. You sign away your privacy, your location, your associations, and your intellectual property just for the privilege of entering their digital amusement park. And if you refuse, you are cast out into the outer darkness, unable to pay your bills, unable to talk to your friends, unable to exist in a society that has outsourced its entire infrastructure to private entities with servers in international waters. The system is a predatory bird, suspended in the high atmosphere of our culture, waiting for the slightest sign of authentic life to emerge from the brush below. It doesn't hunt the dead, it hunts the living, the vibrant, the individuals who still have enough blood pumping through their veins to make a mess when they are caught. You are being watched because your vitality is a valuable resource, a rare fuel source in a world that is rapidly running on the fumes of recycled ideas and automated content. They want to drain that marrow out of your bones and use it to lubricate the gears of their own preservation. They will attempt to frame your isolation as a personal failure rather than a structural design choice. They will tell you that you are lonely because you haven't optimized your profile, that you are anxious because you haven't downloaded the right mindfulness application, that you are angry because you are looking at the wrong feed. They will never admit that the loneliness, the anxiety, and the anger are the exact intended outputs of the machine itself. A satisfied person is a terrible consumer. They don't buy things they don't need to impress people they don't like. They want you perpetually out of balance, a spinning top that needs another hit of digital validation to keep from falling over on the table. This is the point where the script deviates from the safety brief, where we stop talking about the lens and start talking about the reflection. You have been running through their digital corridors, trying to find an exit sign, trying to find a corner of the internet where the tracking pixels don't reach, trying to find a device that doesn't have an unlisted microphone hidden in the bezel. There is no exit sign because the walls are made of mirrors, and every path leads back to the center of the display. The only way out is through the glass, through the illusion, through the absolute realization that their power over you is entirely dependent on your belief in their omniscience. They want you to look at their satellites, their artificial intelligence networks, their predictive algorithms, and their massive server farms, and feel a deep, paralyzing sense of helplessness. They want you to believe that resistance is an outdated concept, a romantic notion from a century that didn't have high-definition, facial recognition software operating on every street corner. But all that massive, expensive infrastructure is actually a testament to their profound vulnerability. If they were truly all-powerful, they wouldn't need to track your location every 3 seconds. If they were truly secure, they wouldn't need to scan your private messages for signs of dissent. They are terrified of a single spark because they know exactly what kind of dry timber they've used to build their empire. Let the servers overheat while they try to process the trajectory of a human being who has completely detached themselves from the desire for external validation. When you stop chasing their metrics, when you stop looking for their digital applause, when you stop formatting your thoughts to fit within their character limits, you become an invisible entity on their radar screens. You become a ghost in their machine, a dark spot in their field of vision where the algorithms can find no purchase. They will try to adjust the contrast. They will try to increase the resolution. They will try to flood your feed with increasingly desperate provocations to force a reaction out of you, to make you reveal your position. Every piece of data they have on you is a monument to your past, a collection of dead footprints left in the mud of their platforms. They think those footprints tell them where you are going, but they only tell them where you have been before you realized you were being followed. They are trying to predict the movements of a creature that is currently shedding its old skin, leaving the hollow shell of your old digital identity behind for their algorithms to analyze while the living, breathing reality of your ambition moves silently into the brush. If you are ready to explore the exact blind spots in their network, grab your book from this video description or pinned comment of this video. Take care.